for the winner of this bicycle race on Sunday.
With all the talk of the Kings of the Mountains, the fact is that the man wearing the Supplex King of the Mountain jersey is Scott Mercier of SATURN team.
So the start of the race, we're saying goodbye to the hills of Virginia, at least for the moment, as we head over one climb today, Swift Run Gap, and then it's all downhill to the big finish in the state capital. But Scott Mercier leads in the King of the Mountain section. He's told us he wants to be in that leader's jersey when he gets down to Richmond later today.
If that's the case, then Team SATURN is going to have to push the pace to get him over the Swift Run Gap. This is going over the same climb, but in the opposite direction. And Raul Alcala gets out stretching his legs a little bit early in the race, trying to warm up into this one and showing the field under the red flag that he is, in fact, literally the race leader as well as the man wearing the yellow shirt. A neutral rollout until they get a little ways out of town, then racing begins.
115 riders still survive of the 118 that set off from Wilmington last Thursday. But the heads of state have now taken control of this race, but they're very nervous leaders indeed.
A lot of little races within the big race among 115 riders. Certainly Lance Armstrong will be watching Raul Alcala, the other Kings of the Mountains, the sprint leaders racing against one another. And out on an attack here, the first man to make a move is Ramon Antonio Rota of the Kelme team, and he is quickly joined by number 137, Brian Walton, who had held the King of the Mountain jersey after the first stage.
And choosing a good wheel to follow, Raul Alcala trailing on the wheel of Scott Mercier, the leader of the King of the Mountains. Atle Volsvold follows, of course, Alcala, and not too far behind either is Lance Armstrong. The top riders marking one another as they climb away up Swift Run Gap.
Soon enough, because of the pressure on this first climb, Rota and Walton are caught so that it leaves a wide open race for the King of the Mountain prize at the top of Swift Run Gap.
So the field come back together in one neatly compacted group as they start to plan their ride now through the beautiful Shenandoah National Park.
The climbing begins in earnest, and Brian Walton, who had in fact held the jersey, leads the field up the hill, but it's his teammate Scott Mercier who holds it. Here is Steve Haig of the Chevrolet LA Sheriff's team, and he's wearing a shark jersey of the most aggressive rider. Going over the top, Jose Manuel Uria of the Claas team once again takes the prize, but Mercier's third place finish at the top of the mountain holds on to that shirt.
So some fine riding there by Scott Mercier to ensure he keeps his lead in the King of the Mountains, but Uria, who's turning out to be quite a man in this race, is also threatening for that King of the Mountains title. The race goes on as we head down to Richmond. Don't go away. Home of the world champion hog caller, but did the riders hear him? Because this is Ruben Veenstra at Standardsville after 23 miles, winning the special sprint there, increasing his lead overall in the sprinters competition.
He's the answer to the question, where's the beef in this race so far anyway? But Raul Alcala wears the shirt that everyone wants to take away. He's climbing in the company of his teammates and finds some companionship from the other Spanish riders with whom he shares the language. But here English is being discussed, and it's Lance Armstrong, Ron Kiefel, and over on the far side, Stephen Swart. Well, he speaks something almost like English. He's from New Zealand. No doubt the discussion is that today's race is not going to be a challenge to the overall lead. It's mostly downhill. So everyone's just kind of cruising along here, waiting for an attack to be made on the flat roads, not by the hills that come up.
First big worry of the day, of course, is the mountain to come, but the race is now into Louisa in Virginia, and this time it's a time bonus sprint. 3 seconds going to the young German amateur Sven Turtenberg.
All amateurs in the top 4 on that sprint, including Kuznetsov of Russia, Vogels of Australia, and Byakov of the Russian team. So the young riders in this race are the ones that are active on the sprint lines often enough. Here, though, it's lunchtime as the field spreads across the road and everybody having a snack that they'll need to finish the rest of the 120 miles into Richmond, Virginia.
There's, of course, no reason why you can't attack when somebody's at the dining table, and it looks as though Thomas Wegmuller, the champion of Switzerland, is doing just that. And Roy Nickman of Coors Light is chasing him down, so they're very vigilant today.
All the teams going off after Wegmuller. And soon enough, the field is in single file, a much different configuration than earlier on. Team SATURN's Chris SHEEHAN takes off in pursuit of the finish line. The SATURN riders have been very active in defense of the mountain jersey held by Scott Mercier, but soon enough, SHEEHAN is reeled in, and, well, who else? It's Thomas Wegmuller again at the front.
So they hang on waiting to see who else will attack, and it's Saturn again who've got reason to win in Richmond, and off goes Scott Faulkner now, heading for the special time bonus sprint at Innsbruck at 99 miles. Join us and see if he gets it. Stage 6, 120 miles coming in from the MASSANUTTEN resort and heading down to downtown Richmond. Scott Faulkner has just broken away as we head towards the special sprint at Innsbruck, and Brian, he's just hung on by the seat of his pants.
That's exactly right. Scott Faulkner timed a well-placed move. He used to ride the Race Across America, set a long-distance record from San Francisco to Los Angeles, and, well, he just started out a long sprint, that's all, about 4 miles long to get to Innsbruck.
And the riders beginning to amass at the front again now, looking for more moves as an attack goes there from Jeff Evanshine. What a promising rider he's turning out to be. Faulkner, though, they're closing in on him.
He's still slugging away out in front, but perhaps realizes that help is on its way, and help in the form of Lance Armstrong. Now, this is really an unusual move for one of the stars of the race to have gotten away so cleanly here. And along with him from the Chevrolet LA Sheriff's team is Thomas Craven, who will race into his hometown on Saturday in the final weekend of this event. Also in that breakaway, a couple of Australian riders, including McDonald and McLaughlin. They are in the white and green jersey. Subaru's up there. Well, we've got a dangerous breakaway, mainly because Lance Armstrong is in it, and Raul Alcala at the front of the field here knows it.
And marked heavily by the Motorola teammates of Lance Armstrong. Sean Yates was there too. They won't help Alcala come across. This is a cheeky attack on a day that nobody would have expected Armstrong to try something. He's stretching the leaders, but the leaders are going to have to fight back.
Now he's taken off the front of this breakaway group. He doesn't want to be caught. Going with him is Chan McRae, his former high school mate and teammate on the U.S. amateur team. McRae is from the same hometown, Plano, Texas, that Lance Armstrong comes from. Here's the Word Perfect chase, and going after it once again is Rob Mulders of Word Perfect. Alcala right there. The Motorola guys are marking it in the person of Bjorn Stenerson. These guys are watching the move. Now they're catching the tail end of the breakaway, but Armstrong is off the front with Chan McRae and also Bo Andre Namvet. So 3 riders out of an original 10-man break continue to survive.
But Armstrong has taken a look back. He's seen that his little cheeky trick has failed because the yellow jersey is not too far out of the back of this chase. There they are. The Word Perfect boys have redressed the situation. They've all come to the front, and they've brought their man, Raul Alcala, very much back into this race once more.
Soon enough, however, the attacks continue, and more riders heading off the front. Australians continue to be represented, and now Jeff Pierce is in this move as well for the Chevrolet LA Sheriff's team. Another breakaway starting to form. This time it's the Subaru riders who go to the front. They want a stage win for their man Venstra. They also don't want to lose any more time for their man Bart Bowen here, riding for the Festina 72. Per Pedersen of Amaya, who's riding for a Spanish team, even though he is in fact from Denmark. And it's a 5-man group here that also includes Jörg Mueller, who we saw yesterday, and Robert McLaughlin of Australia. Word Perfect, they go back to the front again. Time to punch in and go to work.
So Lewis de Koning, second in line, Eric van der Arden, and now a little look across there by the riders from Subaru. That was Bo Andre Namtveld, because they're trying to organize the chase here. This is a very good move indeed. It's coming very close to the end of the stage. It could spoil the sprinter's big day. There's the time gap, 40 seconds. Jeff Pierce, who back in 1987 won the last stage of the Tour de France on the Champs-Élysées, is now in this leading group. Pierce, Robert McLaughlin, as they come through for the first time. The time is taken under the banner. That's the important thing to remember. And I think this group has a lead of around about 30 seconds over the field. So this is going to help the Australians in their bid now to take the overall lead in the team race. The field, though, are hunting them down as they enter the finishing circus at Virginia. They may not make it to the finish, or will they? Join us and find out. So the field is facing its final lap now in the streets of Richmond, Virginia, and it's all coming back together after a tremendous chase down of that leading breakaway. The question now is, who is going to win? This happened just a few moments ago. The yellow jersey, Raul Alcala, has flattened in the back wheel. He'll lose no time today because the time for the stage was taken the very first time they went through the finish, but no chance of a stage win for Raul.
A slow leak on that rear wheel, and Raul had to ride it in until he got under the banner the very first time. Then he was able to raise his hand on that little left-hand turn just after the finish line and get the service that he needs. He can relax, really. There's no urgency here because the time has already been taken. His overall race lead is not in danger. These 3 circuits that there were held here in Richmond are really for the stage win, for the bonuses, and for the glory of taking the victory.
And this is the battle now for the riders to take the day's prizes. This little group is just hanging off the front. Here's Steve Bowers, the rider, in the lead. And Mark McCormack is the IME rider in the centre of our picture, but the whole field is coming up behind them, and they're coming up very quickly indeed. This is the tight bend. Bowers got second slot, but the field are on them, and Malcolm Elliott's close to the run now. Malcolm Elliott's in the centre of our picture is taking a run at Jean-Pierre Hendricks. He's surviving in the middle. Hendricks on the line. Elliott takes it away from his former teammate in Spain, Jean-Pierre Hendricks. He will go down in second place. Malcolm Elliott has just scored his 10th win in the United States. Elliott, Hendricks, Wienstra. Let's join Paul Sherwin with Malcolm.
The team must be happy because Coors Light have still got to win a stage.
Well, I mean, it's not really a concern of ours. We're not just riding against Coors Light. There are another 115 guys in the race. So, yeah, I mean, all right, there is some rivalry, and it's not escaped, I noticed, but they are riding very well. They were the guys that brought the initial break that was away coming onto the circuit. They brought that back. They did some very strong work there, but really, I mean, a finish like this is absolute lottery. You know, come downhill and through the last couple of corners there. And,
But you must be happy.
ecstatic.
I bet you are, Malcolm. But the man who's really ecstatic is Raoul Alcler, who keeps his yellow jersey by 22 seconds from Armstrong. Bowen retains 3rd place. Let's go to Brian Drebel with Raoul.
Quiet day today, but tomorrow I think maybe back to work.
Today was a good race for us because the team is riding the last 3 days really hard, and I hope today the guys from the team, their recuperation maybe tomorrow very good. I have to work in again because we have all the pressure for this race, and I have to keep the jersey as long as possible.